Every day, we make choices. Some push us closer to our goals, while others keep us stuck. So how do you stay motivated to make the right choice? The answer is, you don't. Because motivation isn't the key. Discipline is. We all love the idea of feeling motivated. That rush of energy when you decide, this is it, I'm ready to lose weight. But what happens when that feeling disappears? Because trust me, it always does. Even though motivation is great for getting started, it's terrible to keep you going. That's because motivation fades, it fluctuates, and it disappears when you need it most. The real problem is most people think they need to feel motivated before taking action. But waiting for motivation is exactly why so many people fail. I used to fall into that same motivation diatribe for years. Every Sunday, I was pumped up and ready to do whatever it took to reach my goal. I'd meal prep, plan my workouts, and I'd even tell myself this time is different. And for a couple of days, it was. And then Wednesday hit. By this point, I was physically and mentally exhausted from dieting. Plus, I felt weak from eating so little those first few days. And just like that, all of that Sunday motivation was gone. I didn't feel like cooking, I didn't feel like working out. And because I relied on motivation, I gave up on both habits only 3 days into my diet. But here's why motivation failed me every time I relied on it and why it'll fail you too. Motivation is tied to emotions, and emotions change. It's easy to feel motivated when getting started, but what happens when you're tired? Or when you're stressed out or you get busy? This is why people always start strong but end up quitting within weeks. You're chasing a feeling instead of doing what actually works, which is building consistent habits that work even when your motivation is gone. That's when I realized that even though motivation always got me started, it never kept me going. That's when I realized that I needed something stronger than motivation if I wanted to stay on track. So if motivation isn't the answer, what is? Discipline. Discipline cuts through all of the excuses you come up with when motivation isn't there. And the choices you make when you don't feel like it are the choices that define your success. That's what changed everything for me. I stopped relying on motivation. Instead, I built a routine that made it easier to make the right choice, even when I didn't feel like it. So once motivation stops working, what can you do to achieve your goals? Every time I woke up to the sun peeking through my blinds, I'd check the time before rolling over and going right back to sleep. By the time I got out of bed, I was already behind. After rushing to get my kids out the door, I had no time for me, which meant I always found myself pulling through the drive-thru for a breakfast sandwich and a coffee. I began every day feeling rushed, sluggish, and unprepared, starting most days with a high-calorie, low-protein breakfast that only led to hunger an hour later. Now I wake up earlier on purpose. Getting out of bed an hour earlier than my kids gives me time to focus on myself. The first thing I do is drink a big glass of water with a pinch of sea salt, which gives me energy to start the day. Then I have a coffee with protein powder while stretching and getting a head start on my daily steps. Since walking and coffee keeps my hunger in check until mid-morning, I don't even have to think about breakfast until 10. That's when I have a protein-packed breakfast that sets me up on the right track for the day. Once I made it a habit to wake up an hour before everyone else, I was able to start my day on my terms instead of in panic mode. After swapping poor morning habits for habits that helped me get closer to my goal, I no longer found myself waiting around for motivation to strike. Instead, I set an alarm and made my morning routine a non-negotiable. And that one decision sets the tone for the entire day. Once I was done with work, I'd sit down for just a few minutes. But somehow hours would pass. So I'd tell myself that since I was too tired today that I'd just work out tomorrow. But then tomorrow turned into next week, and next week turned into months with very little progress. These days, I never wait until I'm too tired from a long day before thinking about my workout. I wake up early and get it done first thing. That way, I start my day with a habit that moves me closer to my fitness goals. Some days I wake up, stretch, and walk, while other days I grab a protein shake and hit the gym. Either way, I accomplish the daily task that requires the most energy at the time of day that I have the most energy. Once I stopped waiting around to feel like working out, that's when I finally became consistent. Just like brushing my teeth is a habit that I follow on autopilot, so is working out. Sure, there's days I don't feel like it, but I know my health will decline if I make a habit out of skipping either of these necessary habits, which makes working out just something I do whether I am motivated or not. For the old me who was always on a diet, food was whatever was quick and easy. I relied on fast food, microwave meals, vending machines, and processed snacks. If it was convenient, then I ate it. I never thought about nutrients. I just reacted to whatever craving I had at the moment. These days, I still keep things simple, but I always plan meals with nutrition in mind first. I keep easy, high-protein options within reach. That way, I never stress out about having choices that align with my goals. And when I eat out, I never aim for perfection. But I do make better choices than I did before. Since what you eat accounts for 90% of your results, it's important to have discipline around food. This sometimes means going out of your way to make a better choice, even if the easier choice is right in front of you. Before, I always told myself that I was too tired to do anything productive. But instead of going to bed, I still found energy to scroll on my phone for hours. This bad habit, combined with late night snacking, binge watching Netflix, and going to bed late, became a cycle that kept me stuck. Now that I have a wind down routine, everything's changed. Once dinner's over, I'm done eating for the night, and I have a solid bedtime that I stick to so I get enough sleep. This ensures that I don't wake up exhausted while spending the entire day fighting off junk food cravings. Once I stopped sabotaging tomorrow's progress with tonight's bad choices, it was easier to stay on track with the morning routine that sets me up for success. Even though these might seem like small decisions, that's the point. There was never one big moment that changed everything for me. I started with small choices that, when made consistently, transformed my life. And the best part, you don't need motivation to make these choices. You just need to decide to make them. Most people think discipline is something that you're either born with or you're not. But that is not true. Discipline isn't a personality trait. It's a muscle. And just like any other muscle, you have to train it if you want it to grow. The good news is, the more you use it, the stronger it gets. But just like you can't wake up and curl 30 pounds if you've never trained that muscle, you can't expect to wake up with rock solid discipline if you've never trained yourself to get there. So how can you actually build discipline? Well, that's easy. You just need to start making simple habit changes. As you stay consistent with your new habits, this becomes your routine. And then the results from sticking to your routine adds up over time. Most people fail because they try to change everything at once. Instead of forcing yourself into an intense workout routine that you'll quit in a week, commit to just 10 minutes of movement every day. 10 minutes. That's it. Once you get consistent and you see how good moving makes you feel, you'll naturally start doing more. Discipline isn't just about willpower. It's about setting yourself up for success. If your gym clothes are buried in the laundry pile, you're less likely to work out. If you don't have easy access to healthy food, you're more likely to grab junk. That's why you have to make the right choice the easy choice. A few great ways to set yourself up for success include laying your workout clothes out the night before, prepping high-protein meals ahead of time so you're not scrambling when it's time to eat, or keeping a bottle of water next to you so drinking more water is effortless. Small tweaks like this take away the need for willpower, especially since the easier the habit, the more likely you'll stick with it. One of the easiest ways to build discipline is to stack a new habit onto something that you already do, which is called habit stacking. It works because this makes adding new habits fit seamlessly into your routine. A few habit stacking tricks I use that you can try include: I place my workout clothes on my bathroom counter right after brushing my teeth at night. That way I have zero excuses to get my workout done first thing. Brushing my teeth is an easy cue that sets me up for a successful morning. I also add high protein essentials to my shopping list while preparing my meals. Assessing what I need to stock up on as soon as I notice I'm halfway out ensures that I'm always stocked up on the foods that I need to stay consistent with my goals. And I added stretching and mobility work right before my morning walk. Since walking was already part of my morning routine, it's easier to remember to stretch every day once I added 15 minutes of stretching right before my walk. This addition helps me feel good all day, making it easier to stay on track. Once you start adding small habits into existing habits, this makes them fit effortlessly into your life instead of feeling like a chore that you have to get done. Most people don't quit because they're not capable. They quit because they don't see progress. But even when you're making progress, you probably won't see it if you're not tracking it. And that's when it's easy to feel like nothing's happening. Once I started tracking the fat loss metrics that really matter, that's when I started seeing progress that I wanted. Even though my goal tracker looks complicated, it takes less than 10 minutes a day to track everything I need to measure the success of my plan. Once I started noticing the small wins, that's what kept me going to achieve big results. In the end, discipline isn't about being perfect. It's about making the better choice, one choice at a time. Some days you will nail it, while other days you'll slip up. But what matters is that you keep showing up, because the more you show up, the stronger your discipline becomes. So quit waiting for motivation to strike and instead train your discipline, one habit at a time. Of course, there's no better time to get started than right now. What's one small choice that you can make today that your future self will thank you for? Is it ordering a refillable water bottle that you can keep next to you at all times? Or lacing up your shoes for a quick 10-minute walk? Maybe you could start a running shopping list for the high protein essentials that keep you on track. Listen, you don't need motivation to change your life. You just need better habits. If you want to learn more about the simple habit changes I made that helped me lose 50 pounds, watch this video next. I show you the exact routine I followed to lose 50 pounds in my 40s, even when nothing else worked.